When a one-legged girl asked a single dad if she could sit at his table in a crowded cafe, she expected rejection. She'd heard it 1,000 times before, but his answer, and what happened next, would shatter everything she thought she knew about kindness, worth, and the power of a single moment to change two broken lives forever. Before we continue with this incredible story, if tales of unexpected kindness and human connection inspire you, please subscribe to Everyday Kindness Stories. We share the moments that remind us what it truly means to be human. The November rain hammered against the windows of Miller's Cafe like it was trying to break through. Inside, the warmth felt almost guilty. Too much comfort in a world that offered so little. Sarah Mitchell stood in the doorway, water dripping from her worn jacket onto the tile floor. Her crutch squeaked as she shifted her weight, and she felt the familiar stares begin. Not the kind stares, never those. She was 23 years old, and she'd lost her left leg in a car accident 2 years ago. The same accident that took her parents. The same accident that left her completely alone. Every table was full except one. A man sat there with a little boy, maybe 4 years old. The boy was drawing with crayons, his tongue sticking out in concentration. The man watched him with tired eyes, the kind of exhaustion that went deeper than missed sleep. Sarah's stomach twisted. She'd been walking for 2 hours in the rain, trying to make it to her physical therapy appointment across town. She'd missed 3 buses because she couldn't climb the steps fast enough. Her stump ached beneath the prosthetic. She just needed to sit. Just for 10 minutes. She hobbled toward their table. The cafe went quieter. People always noticed the girl with one leg. They noticed, and then they looked away. "Excuse me," Sarah said softly. Her voice cracked. Can I sit here, just for a few minutes?" The man looked up. His name was Marcus Chen, though Sarah didn't know that yet. His eyes were dark brown, carrying a grief so heavy it seemed to bow his shoulders. His son Liam glanced up from his drawing, a picture of a house with no people in it. Marcus saw the girl's trembling hands. He saw the way she held herself together with invisible thread. He saw the prosthetic leg, yes, but more than that, he saw the exhaustion, the loneliness, the barely held hope that maybe, just maybe, someone would let her rest. "Of course," Marcus said, and then he did something that made Sarah's breath catch. He stood up, pulled out the chair, and helped her sit down. "You look like you've been through a storm." Sarah's eyes filled with tears immediately. She tried to blink them back, but they came anyway, hot and unexpected. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "Don't apologize," Marcus said gently. He sat back down. "My name's Marcus. This is Liam." The little boy waved, then went back to his drawing. "Sarah," she managed. "Thank you. Most people, they don't—" She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Marcus signaled the waitress. "Can we get another coffee? Here, please. And some soup. Whatever you recommend." "I can't pay for—" Sarah started. "I didn't ask if you could," Marcus said. "Not unkindly, just factual. You look hungry. I'm buying you lunch." Sarah stared at him. In 2 years, no stranger had shown her this kind of basic human decency. People either pitied her or ignored her. They never just saw her. "Why?" she whispered. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Liam looked up at his father, and something passed between them, some shared grief that Sarah couldn't name. "Because," Marcus said slowly, "I know what it's like when the world makes you invisible." The soup came, tomato basil, steaming and rich. Sarah's hands shook as she lifted the spoon. She hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. "My wife died," Marcus said suddenly, not looking at Sarah, but at his son. 6 months ago, cancer. Liam hasn't spoken since the funeral. Sarah's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. She looked at the little boy, who was now drawing what looked like an angel. "I'm so sorry," she said, and she meant it. She knew that kind of loss. "People stopped inviting us places," Marcus continued. His voice was steady, but Sarah could hear the fractures underneath. "They don't know what to say to the widower with the silent kid, so they just pretend we don't exist." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Invisible, like I said. Sarah set down her spoon. "I lost my parents 2 years ago, car accident. That's how I lost my leg too." Marcus met her gaze, really met it. I'm sorry, people look at me like I'm broken, Sarah said. The words tumbled out, surprising her. She never talked about this, never. Like I'm less than human now. Like I'm something to be fixed or avoided. You're not broken, Marcus said firmly. You're surviving. There's a difference. Something in Sarah's chest cracked open. She started crying, really crying, right there in the cafe. She covered her face with her hands, mortified, but Marcus just waited. He didn't shush her, didn't tell her it was okay. He just let her break. Liam stopped drawing. He looked at Sarah, then at his father. Then he did something he hadn't done in 6 months. He got up from his chair, walked around the table, and hugged Sarah's arm. Sarah looked down at this tiny boy, this child carrying his own ocean of grief, and she completely fell apart. Marcus's eyes filled with tears, too. His son was hugging a stranger. His son was showing empathy. His son was coming back to him. Thank you, Marcus whispered. Not to Sarah, to something bigger, to hope itself. Over the next hour they talked. Sarah told Marcus about her physical therapy, how she was trying to become a teacher but couldn't afford to finish her degree, how she'd been fired from 3 jobs because employers saw her disability as a liability, how she lived in a basement apartment and sometimes went days without talking to anyone. Marcus told her about the sleepless nights, the way Liam flinched at loud noises, the parent-teacher conferences where people suggested therapy and medication in special schools, how he'd quit his job as an architect to take care of his son full-time, how their savings were running out, 2 broken people holding each other's stories like fragile glass. I used to design schools, Marcus said quietly, accessible ones, places where every kid could learn, no matter their circumstances. Sarah looked up. Really? I had this dream, Marcus continued, to build something that mattered, something that said you belong here to every child who walked through the door. He laughed bitterly, then life happened. Dreams don't die, Sarah said. They just hibernate until you're strong enough to wake them up again. Marcus stared at her. Where did you learn to talk like that? From being invisible, Sarah said. You see things differently when no one's looking at you. A woman at the next table had been listening. She'd been watching this unlikely trio, the widower, the silent child, the one-legged girl, and something about them had broken through her own numbness. Her name was Patricia Holloway. She was 72 years old, and she'd been sitting in this cafe every Thursday for 3 years, ever since her husband died. She came here to feel less alone, to pretend she still had somewhere to be. She stood up, walked over to their table, and placed a business card in front of Marcus. I'm a retired principal, she said. I have connections with the school district, and I couldn't help but overhear that you're both struggling. Marcus picked up the card. Sarah held her breath. There's a charter school opening next fall, Patricia continued. They're looking for an architect to design it, someone who understands accessibility, someone who has heart. She looked at Marcus, and they're looking for teachers, people who understand what it means to overcome obstacles. She looked at Sarah. Real teachers, the kind who know that every student has value because they've had to fight for their own. Sarah couldn't breathe. Marcus's hands trembled. I don't have my portfolio anymore, Marcus said. I don't have references. I've been out of work. You have a brain, Patricia interrupted. And you have this. She gestured at Liam, who was now holding Sarah's hand. You have empathy. That's rarer than talent. She pulled out another card and handed it to Sarah. Call this number, ask for Thomas Reed. Tell him Patricia sent you. He runs a scholarship program for students facing extraordinary circumstances. Sarah's vision blurred with tears. I don't understand why you're... Because 30 years ago someone saw me when I was invisible, Patricia said simply, and I've been looking for chances to pay it forward ever since. She smiled. You two lit up this whole cafe just by being kind to each other. Imagine what you could do with an actual opportunity. Are you still watching? If this story is touching your heart, if you believe that good people still exist in this world, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs hope today. Stories like this remind us that kindness is never wasted. 6 months later, Sarah stood in front of a classroom. Her classroom. 23 students stared back at her. Kids with wheelchairs, kids with hearing aids, kids with anxiety disorders. Kids who'd been told they didn't belong in regular schools. Kids who'd been invisible. "My name is Ms. Mitchell," Sarah said. She wore her prosthetic proudly now, no longer hiding it under long pants. "And I want to tell you something important. You are not broken. You are not less than. You are exactly who you're supposed to be." A girl in the back row, maybe 8 years old, raised her hand. "But I can't walk right. The other kids make fun of me." Sarah smiled. "I can't walk right either. Want to know a secret? The kids who make fun of you are scared. They're scared that if they acknowledge your pain, they'll have to face their own." She moved down the aisle, her prosthetic clicking softly. "But you're brave. Every single day, you show up. That takes more courage than most people have." The classroom was silent. These kids, these beautiful, overlooked, underestimated kids, were hearing something they'd never heard before. You matter. You belong. You are enough. In the hallway, Marcus stood with the principal, looking at architectural plans spread across a table. The new school wing was taking shape. Ramps that didn't look like afterthoughts, sensory-friendly quiet rooms, adjustable desks, natural lighting designed to help every student learn. Liam was in kindergarten now, in the classroom next door. He spoke again. Not a lot, but enough. He laughed sometimes. He had friends. Marcus had designed this place. Every wall, every window, every door. He'd built a school that said, "You belong just by existing." Patricia Holloway walked by, saw them working, and smiled. She didn't interrupt. She didn't need credit. She just needed to know that her one small act of kindness had rippled outward, touching lives she'd never know. That evening, Marcus and Sarah met at Miller's Cafe again. It had become their tradition. Thursday dinners, the three of them, at the same table where Sarah had asked if she could sit down. "I got accepted to graduate school," Sarah said, sliding a letter across the table. "Full scholarship. I start in the fall." Marcus grinned. "Sarah, that's incredible. It's because of you," she said. "If you hadn't let me sit that day—" "I didn't let you do anything," Marcus interrupted gently. "You were always meant to sit there. I was just the one lucky enough to be present for it." Liam looked up from his chicken nuggets. "Miss Sarah?" Both adults turned. Liam so rarely spoke that every word felt precious. "Yeah, buddy," Sarah said. "Are you my friend?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Again, always." "Yeah, Liam, I'm your friend." "Good," the little boy said. Then he went back to his nuggets, satisfied. Marcus reached across the table and took Sarah's hand. Not romantically, they weren't there yet, might never be, but as a lifeline, as a reminder, as proof that sometimes the universe puts people in each other's paths right when they need each other most. "Thank you," he said, "for asking if you could sit down." "Thank you," Sarah whispered back, "for saying yes. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. If this story moved you, if it inspired you, or if it reminded you of the quiet power of compassion, don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to Everyday Kindness Stories. We tell the kinds of stories that heal, uplift, and remind us what it means to be truly human. Stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things simply because it's right. Sarah and Marcus taught us something profound that rainy November day in a crowded cafe, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help, and sometimes the kindest thing you can do is simply say yes. Good people still exist in this world. They're sitting at cafe tables, holding doors open, paying for strangers' coffee, offering chairs to the weary, and saying yes when others say no. You might be one of them. You probably are. Your story matters too. Your kindness matters. Your yes might be the one that changes everything. We'll see you in the next one, where another soul waits to be seen. Stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, you are never as alone as you feel. Kindness doesn't ask for credentials or explanations. It doesn't measure worth by what someone has lost or gained. True kindness simply sees another human being and says, "You matter. Sit down. Rest. You belong here." And in that moment, that single sacred moment, two invisible people become visible again. Not because they were fixed, but because they were seen. Small acts of recognition can save lives. Never underestimate the power of a simple yes.